Okay, I'm back. Finally. What's up, Terraria Slime? What's up, Node Man? What the heck did you have a panic attack? Or almost have a panic attack golfing? Or you had a panic attack? Oh. You guys know somebody's mining a Java-sized world? I figured that out a couple days ago. Actually, I think it was just yesterday. Or trying to mine out one for some reason. Channel name's AVI. That's all it is. Capital A, capital V, capital I. A60. What's up, Frosty? I didn't even see your name. But things going pretty well. Can't say much about my sleep, but I mean, it's alright. At least today, the sleep wasn't that great. Mainly because I woke up early. It's 9:53 a.m. But I didn't go to sleep until like 3, so and I woke up at 9, so yeah, it's which I mean 6 hours of sleep isn't horrible, it's just hard to do this project with 6 hours. Even with, to be fair, even with normal sleep, it's still pretty hard. Anything I do, let me just say this, you can almost just sit there and do nothing, and you'd probably stay awake better than I could just do this project, because it's so mind-numbing, because you're pressing one button. Slightly frustrating. Did you know someone is mining a Java-sized world? I don't know if I said that when you rejoined or when everybody joined, but yep, somebody's actually trying. Person's name ABI. Capital A, capital B, capital I. Just look up Minecraft mining out the world. ABI or whatever. Or mining a Java world ABI, whatever. I don't have no idea. It has like, they have like 9 views as like the highest amount. Give me a second. I think it's gonna take a little bit more than a decade. It's more like a billion years or whatever. I don't know. The way they're doing it's actually really fast though. They literally just have netherite pickaxes and shovels just handed to them in with commands. Which I don't blame them for a Java-sized world. They literally they're just getting it done with a netherite pickaxe and netherite shovel. And going as fast as possible, really. They're using the much faster method of mining because obviously I can't do the 3-layer spiral, whatever it's called, like they can on Java. So if you want to see some interesting mining techniques, what it would look like if I tried mining, what it would look like, speed mining or insta mining, a Java-sized world, yeah, you can check out the channel. 'Cause why not? I just want to see how far they go, really. I'm not gonna check in every single day, but I will check in if they make a new video or something like that, just to see. Maybe not a new video, but maybe I'll check in after a little bit. They only have like an hour each episode they have is like an hour each or whatever. Hour to 45 minutes. From what I've seen, at least. So don't expect a ton of talking, breaks or anything like that. I'm trying to get as much done as possible today. Try to catch up a little bit from missing yesterday. Not only missing yesterday, but just going slow on these days off, really. I mean, I don't want to kill myself trying to do this project, but at the same time, it's like, I still want to make a little bit more ground up. What's up, Evan? Oh, I tried to drink some water. Ooh, that rush. What's up, Lapis? Lucas. I think I'll just go with Lucas, but that rush you get whenever you drink cold water. Oh, jeez. In the morning, at least. Wait a second. Okay, there we go. What's up, Avery? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, no, that's way too slow. Let's do it, more than 2 layers. Wow, I wasn't even paying attention, I just jumped off. Great. Luckily, it doesn't take that long to get back, but still. Wow, I jumped up, 2 chests on accident. Oh my god, I cannot speak. I try that quite a bit when I am near the chests, but, I don't usually get it. Wait a second, I need to get my phone or else. Lad man. What's up, Jonathan? Yeah, I've been kind of deleting this section. If you're talking about the section, I don't know. And the world, obviously, but it's mainly this section. Let's go with that, definitely. What's up, Royal Panda? I only have 18 layers to go. That's kind of crazy to think about. I know it sounds like a lot, 18 layers, but considering how fast I can go through these layers, it's actually not too bad, considering everything. Okay, I'm back. I should give myself like a shocking device if I'm trying to, when it comes to staying up. I know it sounds really horrible, but, seriously, it's kind of frustrating. It's like almost no matter what I do with this project, I almost always somehow am that tired. The only time I'm not tired is if I stream at like 8 to 9 o'clock at night, whatever. It really sucks because that's like the most active I technically am mentally. Maybe not a collar. That's probably a collar could work, but I'm not really too sure. There's probably something a bit smaller. Topography. I do the same thing. I answer people's comments and then it's probably even more awkward in real life. I don't think I've actually done it in real life. I think it's because I'm actually at least somewhat aware of social thing, whatever, in real life than I am in online. I mean, something like that. There has to be some way. To be able to, like, snap myself into reality. I know in school that was pretty hard. I had kind of the same problem, which is really funny if that shows anything about how much effort I put into school. I've put in more effort into mining blocks in a Minecraft world than I do in putting school. Does that say anything? Does that not say anything about how much effort I really just put into school? Oh, to be fair, I didn't really know how to learn either, and I didn't really have the willpower to learn. Or it's more like I didn't have, it's more like I did, it's not really that I didn't have the willpower, it's more like I didn't really want to put my willpower into school, to be honest here. I didn't even eat. Like, I ate beforehand. That actually helped a little bit. I mean, I did eat today, but it didn't help long term. Like, it's almost like I'm charging a battery, but like the port's broke. That's basically what it feels like. It's like no matter how many times I try to charge it, it just doesn't charge. Or it's like halfway charging and then it just stops. It's like charging a phone with a broken charger or halfway broken charger. That's pretty funny. I mean, talking helps. I don't know why talking helps when it comes to staying up. I think it's because my brain's finally somewhat waking up, or it's becoming slightly more active, but I don't really know. There has to be something I could do. Because I can't talk to myself that well. I have to talk out loud. Which kind of sucks, but... maybe on some of these streams I won't commentate that much. I'll just read out loud what somebody's... because I notice when it comes to talking, it's a little bit different than listening. Maybe it's because I'm trying to enter into my subconscious. I'm not too sure. And it's costing mental energy, which is waking up my brain. I have no idea, but That could be a possibility, let's be honest. Because every time I initiate a point, I'm actually getting during my subconscious, or sometimes my unconscious, but mainly my subconscious. Everybody does. So I think that's why if I talk, then I'm entering into my subconscious if I'm talking. I mean, sure, I don't know what I'm saying half the time, but at least it helps me stay up. Maybe learning subjects actually is the way to go to stay up, but I have to say everything I know um out loud, which would be weird, but I have no idea really. It's like every time I don't spend like 30 seconds, or you could say like every 30 seconds or so when I'm not talking, when I'm zoning out, I'm about to fall asleep, which that's the main point is to. Also, I'm trying to think of weird ways to like wake up. Like I'm shaking my head around or jittering my head. I know it sounds really weird, but like I'm like vibrating my neck up. It sounds weird. I don't know how to explain it, but it like helps blood flow, but and oxygen somewhat because it takes mental or physical effort. Even though physical effort isn't really that big of a problem, it's more just mental. You know when you jitter your hand or you jitter your finger on a mouse? Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, that would help a lot. I mean, you've already helped me stay up a bit with the talking thing. I don't know, something about it. Maybe I should just become a filibuster and just talk nonsense for a good couple minutes. I have no idea, but whatever. I think learning subjects would be the way to go. Maybe at some point if I start a new stream, I'll just put on something that's very intensive in terms of learning, and then I'll try to obviously I'll mute the mic and say everything out loud that I'm learning, just so I can stay up just a little bit. It would help a decent amount. Cause I've noticed that I don't know why, but at least that technically means I can learn while I'm tired, no matter what. That means even if I try to, let's say for example, if I'm learning a subject or something like that, learning something will actually keep me up, or at least somewhat keep me up, so I don't. And doesn't even if I'm tired, I can still learn something regardless if it's even remotely, as long as it's remotely or if I learn something, as long as I get remotely enough sleep to even comprehend things, then I'll be fine. Oh wait, you said can't help? Never mind, I think you said can. Yeah, apparently I can't read either. Right now, the last 30 seconds. Yeah, it's pretty tiring. Okay, give me a second. Okay, I'm back. Oh god. Dude, staying up sucks when it comes to this project. Oh god, did not mean to breathe in the mic with my nose. But yeah, it really sucks. I'd say that's really the big downside to this project. Is it's so mind-numbing to the point where it's so tiring. Jeez, man, I may have to take a nap after I go eat. Seriously. Like during that break time. Like 1 o'clock or whatever. Between 12 and 1. Seriously. Some water, then do some push-ups, which the push-ups don't actually help that much, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, to be fair, I already are. Oh God, I already take an hour break anyway. When it comes to streaming, for the most part, 30 minutes to an hour. There's not really much harm in, maybe not harm, but like lost time, I guess you could say. Maybe in an hour or so I'll do it. Either an hour or I'll finish this layer or something like that. Then I'll take a nap. Or I'll get something to eat, then take a nap. Let's go with that. Hopefully it's not too long of a nap. I don't know. I may set an alarm or something like that on my phone. Just to keep it controlled. Hoping the nap actually helps. It may or may not help. I've heard it helps, but I'm not too sure yet. Remember, I'm still experimenting with sleep, so I'm still trying to figure out ways to stay up, ways to optimize my sleep. But apparently with this stream, we're streaming, it's pretty hard, especially streaming this specifically. Because the only way I can really stay up is talk, but not the easiest thing to do for the most part. So I've heard 20 minutes works pretty well. 20 to 30 minutes. But I'm not too sure. I think it depends on what time I woke up with my sleep cycle. I don't really know though, or when I woke up in my sleep cycle. I think it sort of depends on just your sleep in general, on depending on how much the amount of net on the amount of sleep you get when you take a nap, whatever, however the heck you want to say it. I have no idea. Ooh, yeah, that's gonna really suck. I think it's gonna be the same for mine as well. In August, in late August. Just realized it's just about to be August. Isn't it is it 28th? Wow. When is the first day of August, actually? Okay. July goes. So July goes all the way to 31st. It's actually a good thing because that gives me technically extra time to work on the project. That is, I hope by the time August 20th hits, I could at least have some decent sleep schedule, hopefully. Because I noticed my sleep schedule is kind of whack. It's not bad, but it's not that good either. If that makes sense. It's like it fluctuates a decent amount at least for mine, even with the job. I would need to steady it a little, at least a little bit. It needs to be more steady. I used to eat breakfast. I mean, I eat breakfast now, but the thing was I never actually woke up early enough to really eat breakfast. Usually I just skipped it and ate lunch. I think I've gotten better with eating breakfast, though. The problem is I'm really lazy when it comes to breakfast foods. I think at some point I need art, or just breakfast in general. I'm pretty lazy with it. It's kind of hard for me to have even the motivation to get it. I'd say just eat fruit or something quick. Fruit is very easy to eat. All I ate was grapes today, let me just say that. Also, they're incredibly refreshing in the morning. I'm just saying. Actually really refreshing. Any type of fruit's super refreshing in the morning, I've noticed. Also, it's sugar, so it at least helps spike. Maybe not spike, but helps with waking you up just a little bit. I mean, obviously, doing something like this does not help, but at least the initial wake up when you're trying to wake up is pretty crucial. Not for this project, though. I'll tell you that much. I would say that most people can't even do this project with a good amount of sleep because it takes so much. It takes such a little mental energy to do this project that your body's like, ooh, it's okay, so if you're doing this, then I'll just sleep real quick. Time to do this blindfolded so I can sleep. That'd be really weird. It's like, let me do this without even thinking. I'll do this in my sleep, literally. The joke about doing stuff in your sleep, yeah, I'll mine in my sleep to a whole new level. Even though it's technically not even, it's of course not possible just because. I mean, this project is pretty much impossible to do blindfolded anyway because everything is different. Those kind of work. I would still prefer more fruit, like organic sugars. they're not only a little bit more filling, but they're also a little bit easier to digest. I mean, it works. It's just don't know if it's that great. I don't blame you for eating that. I'm not gonna lie. If you can get fruit, that is. Fruit isn't exactly the easiest thing to maintain because it's so easy to forget that you even have fruit. Because it goes bad so quickly compared to other things. My friend made okay, so my friend actually made like a classification of foods. I know it sounds really weird, but if I remember correctly, a pie counts as anything that has a filling. I think it's like it's hard to explain, but if I remember correctly, so for example, let's say a sandwich. Sandwich is anything that has a filling with two layers, a top and a bottom. It's hard to explain this. If I would have to ask him again, but it's anything. So like, say, take an Oreo. People don't think of it as a sandwich, but it technically is a sandwich because it has a top, it has a bottom, and it has a filling. A pie would be considered something that anything that's either anything that has a topping. Actually, technically speaking, um, I don't know how to classify pie. Cake, I think is not cake. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. I don't know. I think pizza is technically considered a pie by his standard because it's anything that has a topping on it. Or I don't know if he kept pizza separate or not. I don't remember. I can't remember if he kept pizza separate or not. Um, Thank you, King of the Stars. It's crazy people are still coming back after that many time. After so long. I don't know, I think cake is anything with like a topping or whatever. Or not topping, but I forgot what cake really was defined as. I think a pastry was anything that was considered. Actually, no, sorry, it was pastry. Pie is technically a pastry. He had pastry as classified as one of his classifications. Pastry was anything with a filling. So technically a pie is a pastry. It's like anything that surrounds a filling. Entirely surrounds a filling, if that makes sense. There it is. I was trying to remember. And then he classified pizza as something separate, which was anything with a topping on top of an outer layer, whatever it is. Well, yeah, but it's still a pastry. Because he defined a pastry as anything with the filling with everything surrounded by it, which is technically, I mean, think of a toaster strudel or something like that. You can consider that technically being a pie, but it's actually a pastry. But a pie is actually a classification of a pastry. He basically did general groups, I guess you could say. He did groupings of foods, and pastry was one of the main groupings, which was anything that that had a filling with all sides covered. or all sides covering the filling. He did sandwiches, which was anything with one top and one bottom with the filling. And then he did, I think it was pizza. I think it was separate from each other, or separate, which was anything with the topping, I'm pretty sure. I can't remember if he did cake or not. I don't remember. Those are the pastries, like the main one I've ever. Pastry and sandwich are the really only ones I can think about. I'd have to ask him again, but that'd be really weird to ask him about. But yeah, it's a bit weird. Yeah, I don't remember what he classified a cake as. I think he classified as a cake as like something that has surrounding all sides but two layers. I don't know if you remember. I don't think he classified layers within the food groups. I think he classified donuts. I think he classified donuts. If I remember correctly. I'm trying to remember what it was though. What's up, Peasy? What did he define in the donut? I don't remember. Whatever. It doesn't matter that much, but it's kind of funny to think about though. Honestly, at this point, when it comes to processing information and stuff like that, I honestly don't care about the information itself. As long as I can process it, I'm fine. I'm trying to just stop not caring so much about not processing information. I'm trying to just get good at processing information and constantly process it. Obviously, I'll be very hesitant depending on what it is, but I need to start getting into more of a I wouldn't say really habit. I'd say, I mean, it is kind of a habit, but I need to put more of my willpower into, I guess you could say, into the processing, I guess. I think it was really funny. One time somebody was spamming and trying to make some weird excuse about having some kind of like disorder or something like that, which was kind of retarded for them to try something like that. It's like, yeah, because free will apparently doesn't exist for them. They apparently think they're like entitled to not having free will. Because, yeah, it's... So I'm just gonna cover up my, you know, bad choices with blaming other things instead of actually taking responsibility for actually, you know, what I've done. Nice. Nice one. Nice little cover up there. I'm guessing you were too busy listening to me speak or something like that. I've done that before. I don't know. I don't buy into disorders, really. I don't. They're a bit too subjective, in my opinion. Even if they, yeah, I just don't really buy into disorders, personally speaking. People may disagree with me, but until you realize how the mind really works, or at least to some degree, the fact that the mind is actually ordered and not disordered. Because the problem with disorders is they're saying basically you're not fit to do certain things, even though you're technically fit. You're just not based on their standard, if that makes sense. That's the problem with it. You're just being rationalized into. Your brain's literally just being rationalized into not being fit for certain standards or milestones. This is why they always have that thing about, like, certain kids not hitting milestones for some reason and thinking they're unfit for certain tasks, even though it doesn't even matter to fit the person's agenda. It makes no sense. I mean, we already know the mind's ordered. It's been seen over and over and over again. Look into Jungian analytical psychology. You see what I'm talking about. Yeah, good. Thank God you're not holding yourself down and just statically thinking you have a disorder and just can't improve. Thank God. Somebody actually has a brain with these disorders. And not holding themselves down. Because for some reason people think the mind is statically... I've noticed how much how statically people think, even though it's... People need to start thinking more dynamically. It's like end all be all for something for no reason. It's like, well, I can't do this skill, so I'll just leave. Or I can't do this, I'm unfit for this, so I'm just gonna leave, even though they're actually probably just not. It's not that they're disordered, it's just they're mentally unhealthy. There's different ways. You can improve that mental health. You're not just stuck with that mental health. It's kind of frustrating hearing that, but yeah, exactly. It's really just, it's a crutch type of thing. It's really frustrating. Trust me, I have done it with regular MBTI, not the Jungian analytical psychology, because it's actually dynamic. At least that's dynamic. So it actually shows that how you can improve instead of just, okay, here's these letters. Instead of statically, it's static. It's not dynamic. It sucks. I mean, there's always those, every person that I've seen online that just does MBTI thinks they can't do something even though they can do it. They just have to put in the effort to do it. It's quite frustrating. That's the problem with the regular MBTI, though. It's probably the suckiest thing about it. It's not even accurate either. First thing, it's not accurate. Second thing, it's probably even more triggering that it's so static. I'd say it's even worse with the disorders, though, honestly. Actually, I would say that disorders are probably just as bad as MBTI in terms of static mindedness. If it was like, okay, you have this disorder, but you can help improve in certain areas instead of having other people improve you. That's the other part I've hated about disorders. It's like, okay, you get diagnosed, but you're literally letting other people tell you how you were unfit for certain tasks and you shouldn't do this because you have this disorder. Trust me, I've used my mind as a crutch several times, but I'm starting to understand all I literally have to do is just put in a little bit more effort and knowing how it works. This is why people need to stop using therapy and start using psychology. Therapy doesn't do anything due to the lack of information of the psychology. How are you supposed to fix yourself if you don't even understand how you work in the first place? That's the whole point of psychology. Seeing a psychologist is way better because most people don't know how they work. That's the first thing. I would help people if they actually, you know, understood the fact that I even understand what the heck, that I know at least somewhat what I'm talking about. I could probably fix many people's problems just with this Jungian analytical psychology. If they actually listen, that is. And are willing to listen. And I don't think this is just astrology or anything like that, which I'm not saying, but they do compare it to astrology, which sucks. But or it's a soft science. Psychology is a soft science, which right now it is, but most people don't usually have traumatic events when it comes to mental health issue, or when it comes to these type of problems. Most of it's just mental health, or that made no sense, I know, but it really didn't. But most people don't usually deal with traumatic events. Usually it's just mental health. Let's go with that. It's better way to say it. But the problem is they try to let other people solve their problems without actually understanding the information of how they work in the first place. That's the biggest problem. I'm not even saying astrology doesn't exist. I'm just saying that people need to start listening more into psychology. Like, I haven't looked in psychology, so I can't say if it exists or not. I've heard it has some form of legitimacy, but it doesn't help anything. It's just kind of a meh thing. I don't really know I don't know how helpful astrology really could be, even if it is a real thing. I don't know. I haven't looked into it, so I can't say if it's not a good thing or if it's good or not, if it's realistic or anything like that, but yeah, it's just kind of frustrating. I mean, I have a friend that has went to a therapist. Let me just say this. He's been diagnosed with bipolar. They said possible bipolar. He's been with ADHD for years and years, and with ADHD, yeah, he's been with ADHD for years and years. He possibly got diagnosed with schizophrenia. Let's see. And apparently he's crippling his own self. Not crippling his own self. He's using ADHD as like a way of saying that he can't meet deadlines. He's not even going for a specific degree just because in college because he can't meet deadlines. Or he's considering not doing the degree. So he's literally sabotaging the degree he wants to get just because he can't meet deadlines. You're telling me how bad these disorders can actually get. Seriously, it's funny how he was talking about like how he talked about how how about the science that he doesn't believe it because people can only pick out the good things over the types, but he's only picking out the good things that suit his mind using the I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's like if he actually just listened more and actually, you know, went into this depth psychology instead of for some reason associating with astrology, and actually listened more to the lectures instead of listening to one lecture of this science, which doesn't explain much at all, let's be honest here. It's just so frustrating. It's funny, I used to kind of do the same thing, but I realized how how horrible I actually was. Basically just being a little, like, basically being a little child in that case. That's quite important. I mean, it's cool now. It's just that's actually pretty unfortunate earlier on. It's just that, oh, these disorders, I swear to God, you could just rationalize anything. I could rationalize I have ADHD very easily. Just don't focus on anything. That's it. I could literally make myself have bipolar. I could use my paranoia as schizophrenia if I wanted to. Literally, I could do a lot with these disorders. It's not that hard for me to enable, or not enable, but mimic ADHD. Sometimes I mean, I've already been questioned about having ADHD or ADD, even though it doesn't even matter that much. I mean, look up the DSM-5. You can literally get it for like $10 on Kindle. And I've looked through a couple pages at least. I'll probably look through it a little bit more thoroughly. But it's just a bunch of rational data that doesn't really, it's like you're kind of fitting somebody into something, but it's like, okay, you may have this, you kind of have symptoms of this, but it's like, so we're just gonna go with that you have this because you kind of have some symptoms of this and you're not actually fully qualified for this, but you're somewhat qualified. It's like qualified, you're just literally just qualifying people into specific things. like ADHD, what's considered impulsive? What's considered a milestone? What milestone? What milestone does this person not reach to have a disorder? For example, like you can question all of these and good luck getting any answers. It's like, does it really matter that much if that person's that impulsive? Maybe it's the parenting fault, the parents' fault for enabling the person to be that impulsive in the first place. Because it's like for some people, for some reason, people can't change. Static mindsets, I swear. Alright, so I'm gonna be streaming for a while. I don't really know how long because I'm off for today and tomorrow, and then I'm gonna be streaming another day, a little bit another day. It's hard to explain, but I have a weird schedule. It's pretty nice though. Gonna be streaming for a while, probably a good another like 8 to 9 hours or whatever. I feel fine right now. As long as I keep talking and rambling about mental disorders, I think I'll be fine. I'll keep doing it, I don't care. If I have to stay up. Or that I triggered Yee, or not triggered, I got triggered by Yee's comment on Discord and I posted randomly a comment. He said extrovert instead of extrovert, which absolutely triggered me. It's like, okay, no, it's not extrovert, it's extrovert. I saw it immediately. I didn't even look at the rest of the meme. I was like, that's incorrect. Goodbye. It's extrovert, not extrovert. Music would work. Alright, see ya, King of the Star. I probably will put on music eventually. I'm not too sure how much it's gonna help though. Because I can only do so much music until my brain's like, ooh, well, go back into focus mode. Trust me, if I unleashed my lack of attention, it's like the worst form of ADHD, or it would be technically based on their standards, whatever theirs, the DSM-5 standards or whatever. It's like, ooh, let's just diagnosis. It's kind of sucks though, because it's like, okay, so it's this diagnosis of something. You're not actually just defining somebody's character. You're literally just giving them a general understanding of something. It's like, let's just kind of generalize you into this thing instead of actually logically understanding how you work. Using interaction styles and stuff like that. Using interaction styles, using your cognitive functions, how you work as a person. But no, we gotta do random standards like milestones for some reason. Instead of actually understanding how the brain works itself. Yep, milestones. Random arbitrary milestones. This person doesn't hit this specific thing in a given amount of time in school. Or this person doesn't have good grades in school, even though grades are completely arbitrary anyway. And their system is really horrible in the first place because it's literally just based off of like regurgitating information and spitting it back out. I mean, think that's the same thing. I mean, like, taking information in and regurgitating out. There we go. That's better way to say it. It's like, ooh, I know something. Yay. Because I, for some reason, passed with the specific grade. Even though that doesn't matter. Yay, and then you get this weird arbitrary piece of paper again. You're gonna hear me use arbitrary a lot because it kind of is. Yeah, it's pretty frustrating. Yeah, that's what I mean by milestones. It's like, ooh, this person doesn't hit the specific goal that's supposed to be required, even though it's completely subjective in the first place, because for some reason we put everybody to the same standard anyway, because for some reason we think everybody's static and everybody's the same person for some reason, because we don't actually understand psychology in the first place. But holy Jesus Christ, that was a lot. But yeah. You know, even if this science that I'm learning doesn't exist, at least I know that there's something to it in terms of orderedness of our mind. I don't care if it, I don't even care if the science really even is 100% proven. There's at least some form of orderedness. Not only is some form of orderedness, there's different cognition in general and prioritization of cognition. I may need a reminder to breathe. Actually, when I get into this really long rants, then I'll do it, but I don't know. Basically nothing. Wait. So wait, what do you mean by what do you mean there are solutions? Are you talking about the solutions to people that give the diagnosis? Is that what you mean? I'm not too sure what you mean. If you mean like other people, or you mean the people who are giving the diagnosis themselves? Because if it's the people who are giving the diagnoses, I guess. Basically none. All they're really doing is like pretty much none. I mean, they kind of beat around the bush, I guess you could say, with when it comes to solutions. It's not really solutions, it's more like what you could do to try to fit in instead of actually trying to figure out instead of treating them as a different person. It's more like here, this is how you can fit into the standards. It's pretty horrible. You gotta think about it. Like when you look up the diagnosis for some of these things, some of them say that they have it for life. It's basically saying like you can never get. It's like, all right, so here's this arbitrary standard that we put on you, even though first thing, it's not even really that proven. Let's be honest here, just because it's based on milestones and based on their standards. So you're gonna have this for life. You're gonna have to deal with this your entire life, and you're gonna have to be statically minded without any improvements whatsoever. All we can really do is remediate the problem and try to figure out how you could fit into society. Yeah, it's pretty horrible. You think about it. It's funny, there's tons of moral people that think that some of these disorders are actually good, even though they're not. Let's be honest here. It's about as bad as the MBTI in terms of staticness. It's like how I used to think, where it's like, oh yeah, I need to find something I'm good at instead of trying to figure out something I could get good at. So it's kind of the same thing. It's like, let's figure out how this person could change instead of just trying to get them to fit in. Because guess what? They're never technically going to fit in, truly speaking, because they're obviously a rarer cognition. And their standard is so arbitrary to the point where, since they prioritize different cognition, of course, the people that don't prioritize that cognition are going to just get destroyed and labeled and dismissed, I guess you could say. Yes, pretty much. How to be normal. This is how you could be normal. This is how you could fit in. How to be normal, even though normal isn't really something we can actually we can really define. We can't really define normalcy in society because obviously that's still very arbitrary. Because people are different, people have different minds. But yeah, it's there you go. So it's pretty much, yeah, it's pretty much suggesting to be normal. Yes, it is. I mean, think about it. A normal path is technically considered, say, go to high school, go to college, get a job. Okay, well, there you go. Mainly, that's the normal path considering it. And the sucky part is, people get so stuck in the normalcy thing, the normal, trying to be normal. They don't really branch out like I've kind of tried to do with this project and stuff like that. Sure. It's kind of funny because it's like, you can consider this a waste of time. Is it actually a waste of time, or is it a waste of time based on your brainwash to being normal? That's the real question. Has society really changed how you think about normalcy in certain things? Unless, obviously, they think I'm mining a Java world, then yes, they do have a point, but at that point, it's still their fault, because they still assume that I'm mining a Java world instead of asking in the first place, but... being normal is still very subjective, though. I don't care how you really slice it. The normal's beaten path. The problem also, normal's also expedient, which also kind of sucks. The normal's considered expedient, and because it's a path that's already been laid out for everybody. Meaningful would be more, I guess you say different, the difference of people. But of course, everybody, since they're so expedient, using static mindset with combined with just trying to get everybody to fit in, which is expedient, instead of actually trying to understand other people, which is considered normal technically. But if people branched out a bit, like C.S. Joseph has understood people instead of just wrote on the normalcy of everybody. I mean, sure, yes. There does get to a point where you still have to contribute in some form or way. Don't get me wrong. It's not like you can't just say, okay, I'm gonna spend all my time on this project and just screw everybody. But there's no point of actually doing something different while actually contributing to people. Like, you can't just, there has to be a point where it's like, sure, it's normal just to have a job and then just chill out. That's what most people would do. But most people project that everybody else does that instead of thinking that, like, oh, this thing's actually a waste of time because you don't have this or you don't have this. It's like based on their own standard of where they're at, if that makes sense. And they're also arrogantly thinking that somehow that other person doesn't actually have a life, or not working on one at least, without actually verifying. Some people do verify. I've seen a few people do it. Not many. Not many people. But it happens. You mentioned about being functional. I mean, you're being a functional member of a person, of a society. Sure, that's fine. There's also a point of actually, there's kind of a problem with the functional thing. It's kind of similar to the normalcy, but if it's like, if you don't function like everybody else, then you are considered non-functional. Or dysfunctional, I guess you could say. This is kind of where the disorders come from, which is kind of a problem. I think it kind of depends on what you consider functional, honestly. Because functional considered mental or contributions to society. Yeah, you could say the reverse. Saying being normal is okay and being not normal is okay. It's good to do the reverse logic of both of them. The problem is just people get stuck so much in the normalcy that it's like the normal becomes so normal to the point where they just project that normalcy on everybody, which is where all of the subjectivity of society really comes from, really. What's up, Ben? I created a super flat world in Minecraft. I didn't... I mean, I have enough dirt to do that. I think I have just enough dirt. It'd take forever, though. I can't even imagine. Now how I place over... Took 30 hours just to place over, what, 100,000? Can you imagine placing over 700,000? Still over 200 hours just placing dirt or something like that. It would be Jesus Christ, I cannot speak apparently. It would be way faster than this project, but still. I don't think I want to spend 200 hours just placing dirt. I don't know. Apparently, I've already spent over 8,000 hours mining, so I mean... I don't want to get into this thing where it's like, okay, what is there to lose type of mindset, which kind of sucks, which I do need to continue doing other things anyway, so... Which I will after this project. I'll be doing programming and the Nether combined. Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah, I definitely see what you mean in terms of quality. Or just life in general, functional within life itself, not really based with around society. Honestly, I would say put the society in orbit of you and not the other way around. I would say put you the center and put an orbit and let society orbit you, not the other way around. But people usually put society in put themselves in orbit of society, if that makes sense. Which is quite the problem. Don't know why I just did that, because the pickaxe isn't even done anyway. But wrong one. I'm really confusing myself. Holy Jesus. But yeah, it's kind of weird like that. I don't think that's correct. I have no idea though, really, at the same time. I don't know, that doesn't really make much sense, I'm not gonna lie. Wouldn't that depend on your age? For the most part, because there's people that have, there's some really lucky people though, I'm just saying that right now. Also, what about like programming jobs and stuff like that? Like those wouldn't technically exist if that statistic was even, if that statistic was correct. Because they literally sit down for more than 6 hours. If that statistic was true, literally half the people would get half the people that do programming get cancer, which I don't think that's a thing, because that would be definitely would have heard about that for sure. I don't think that doesn't even really make much sense in my opinion. I don't know though. What? What do you mean it's like movement and smash? Let's say if that statistic was somewhat true. I mean, yeah, but I don't know about the 40%. It definitely is. It can come with some risks. Not 40%, the sitting down for long periods of time. But I'm not too sure about the 40% cancer though. Cancer would be way more common, especially in this day and age, if that was the case. It definitely does come with some risks though, is for sure, is sitting down for long periods of time. I don't know what the real effects of sitting down for long periods of time are. Like, I really can't. I don't know what they are. I'll have to look them up a bit, but Also, I found a really another triggering comment in the comment section. That's pretty interesting. 11 per... Okay, yeah, that makes a little bit more sense. It's for 11 hours per day. 11 hours per day is pretty insane. If you sat down for 11 hours per day, it's quite a bit. Does that... Okay, does the 11 hours per day mean, like, literally 11 hours straight of sitting down? Because I actually stand up quite a bit. Mainly to get water. Also, speaking of that. And getting up, sitting up, doing push-ups. I don't know. I know the lack of circadian rhythm can affect you after a long period of time. It takes a while, but it does happen. Sitting, I would say lack of sleep and maybe bad circadian rhythm, I think are the main. Combine that with sitting down for long periods of time, yeah, that can get pretty bad. Age definitely has a pretty good factor on it, though, to be honest. Also, don't forget diet as well. Is a pretty good factor. That's definitely an interesting study. Don't know how plausible it is, but I mean, it makes sense somewhat, at least with the 11, especially 11 hours. That makes a little bit more sense. I don't know about 11 hours straight, because you could technically go for 11 hours. You just have to get up every, I don't know, like 10, 20 minutes. You could be fine. But I don't know. Alright, give me a second. Let me do my push-ups real fast. I wonder if posture has to do anything with it. Yeah, I don't think your sleep schedule could get any worse. There's so many factors to include, though, with the 40%. To the 11 hours or more. There's too many factors, though. I mean, sure, 11 hours per day for 40% more cancer can relate to each other. Does it mean that sitting down for 11 hours straight can cause it? Yeah. That's hard to say, due to the amount of factors. Considering in health, such as like what you're eating, posture, the amount of sunlight, because you could technically be sit 11 hours outside if you wanted to, but sleep even is a big factor. So keep it in mind, keep that in mind when it comes to statistics like that. Probably know most of these anyway. I'm probably just rambling for no reason, but if you didn't consider these factors, and you may want to consider them. Probably already knew all these factors anyway, but let's be honest. Knowing about correlation is not causation is very useful to know. Knowing that correlation doesn't actually is causation, or does not mean causation, then yeah. So family history with diseases, yeah, I could definitely see that. Genetics, I guess, could probably a pretty good factor. I'm working on posture though. That's the main thing I'm working on right now. Because posture, I think, actually has a really big role in a statistic like that. Seriously, it could have one of the biggest roles. Let's be honest here. It could have one of the biggest. It could have one of the biggest roles within that statistic. I mean, I actually have pretty decent posture at work, surprisingly. I'm not that super high laser focused, like back crunched over, like 60-year-old man, it looks like. I actually look like somewhat decent to working. Now I just need to work on posture streaming, which hopefully it helps me wake up a little bit. It's really weird seeing like edges of biomes, like where the rain starts and stuff like that. It's really weird. But yeah, it's just I think it'll be good as long as I just I'm fine right now. I've actually gotten pretty good with posture. I don't even know when I started getting good with posture, but recently, for some reason, I've gotten at least better with it. Let me just say this. If my back hits the chair, I'm probably not going to have good posture. That's what I'm going to basically do. As long as I don't hit the back of my chair, that's going to be my external feedback. So don't worry about too much about. That's my external feedback. Is not hitting the back of the chair. Pretty much. Yes, I'm definitely looking forward to the nether lava. The nether juice. Go with that. Well, to be fair, it wouldn't be considered spicy nether juice because it's the only juice there, so it's just called nether juice with the nether. We could just call it nether juice. Yes. If it's lava in the overworld, if it's actually, how about this? If it's lava in the overworld, if it's naturally spawned in the overworld, then it's spicy. But if it's in the nether naturally spawned, then it's just nether juice. Okay, this may sound really weird, but see ya, Ben. But this may sound really weird, but okay, you know that brain link thing or whatever? It would be the nether. I know it sounds weird that spicy nether juice is not as spicy as actual nether juice, but it's the original, so. So, you know that brain link thing where it's like you plug your brain in or something like that, you can download data or whatever. So imagine if you spent all of your brain, since apparently your brain only holds a couple petabytes of data, apparently, or something like that. It's some ridiculous amount in your brain, if I remember correctly. Imagine if you downloaded an entire Minecraft map into your brain. You're literally just using all of your brain cells for a Minecraft map. You know how weird that would be? So you're basically plugging into a memory. I just thought about, how does cognition affect that? Wonder how cognition would affect the brain link. It's like your brain only stores just a certain amount, so it's like you can only store this much data. It's like a hard drive. It's basically like, okay, so your hard drive, your TI, you can only hold this many facts in your brain. You can only know this much stuff. Well, this other person can hold way more stuff than you. So you can only download this much data into your brain. Or you can only download this many memories into your brain. or this much sensory, I guess, yeah, sensory information into your brain. Sounds a bit weird, but imagine downloading other people's memories. That'd be weird. You can only download this much information or this much physical data of a specific topic. Or maybe not specific data, technically it's like, yeah, you can only hold this much data of this specific memory, or this much muscle memory. You can either hold a lot of one subject, or you can hold a lot of different subjects. Yes, I definitely agree with that. It's like, here's all this data, but there's nothing else left. Just kind of thinking about it, data is literally our only way to store information, if you technically think about it. True way to store information into our brains, because you have TI, or we have NI, which isn't entirely data. I mean, sure, it's our own, like, future in some way, but it's still kind of made up by us. So it still processes information, but doesn't really, like, keep information itself, like TI, like logic does. Then you have FE, which doesn't do much. All it really does is just kind of store other people's feelings or other people's values, which we can kind of access with our FI critic or access our own, but it's very small. Naturally, we don't do it though. And then we have TI child, which is the only actual like storing of data into our minds. They have SE, which is the physical environment instead of the internal, so we don't actually have any data stored within our brain. So yeah, it's pretty empty. For the most part. Let's be honest here, it's pretty empty. So our only really true source of something is literally TI for something. Which isn't a bad thing, it's just kind of funny thinking about it. This could probably explain why it's like, when somebody says something to me, what are you thinking about? And I start thinking about what they're saying, because it's a processor. It's like, okay, I'm thinking about what you're telling me, asking me about what I'm thinking about. It's like, yeah, good luck doing that. Because it's like, I automatically just start listening to what somebody's saying if there's nothing else going on. Because I'm just like, oh, SC inferior. It's like, okay, this person's just talking. So, TI child, I'm gonna listen to it. Or NI hero could be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna focus in on what this person's talking about with the TI. So it just loops. But, I don't know, Snickerdoodle's pretty good. I mean, to be fair, anti-hero is like one of the most useful functions, but it's also one of the most useless if you technically think about it. Cause it's all, I mean, you got to think about it. It's all it is just